I was sent this post about a so-called Sant Darbāridās challenging the status of the Khalsa as Guru and highlighting the supposed hubris of Singhs. So I recommend reading the full post first, and which we'll do together now. So I'll read it through, and then what I'm going to do afterwards is give a rebuke. So, quoting from the post, Sant Darbaridas' criticism of Guru Khalsa Panth, the disease of calling oneself a guru, neither bowing nor practicing devotion. Sant Sri Darbāridās Ji says, brothers, look at how dreadful the times of Kaljug have become. Wherever we turn our eyes, everyone calls themselves our guru, declaring, we have become Guru, Guru Khalsa. Such people say, now we are Guru Khalsa, we have become the Guru. No one can say anything to us, we are the Guru. Sant Darbaridas mocks them sharply. Their state is like all the maidservants of a queen suddenly thinking themselves to be the queen, saying, we are the queen now, so there is no need for us to serve anymore. Such is the state of those who keep chanting Guru Guru about themselves. The state of these people who call themselves Guru Khalsa is indeed pitiful. They are so arrogant, believing themselves to be supreme, they will not bow their head before any sadhu, saint or great soul, because they have convinced themselves that they are the Guru. Thus they remain drowned in their own ego. Sant Sri Darbāridās Ji says, I feel ashamed looking at such people, the saints and sadhus to whom they should offer respect, they do not even go near. And brothers, tell me, among them now, who will practice the Navda Bhakti of Bhagwan Hari mentioned in Gurbani? Who will become a servant and humbly practice the ninefold devotion? For they have all already made themselves into Guru. That is why you now cannot find a true Sikh. Everyone you meet calls themselves Guru. Source, Hari Jaspoti, end quote. So, I basically felt offended, so I've written the following rebuke in response. But afterwards, I will explain the importance of contesting the narratives put forth by Darbāridās in terms of preserving and reviving the Khalsa spirit today, so that we can pursue Raajniti successfully, as well as offer a more balanced practical perspective towards the end as well. So here's my rebuke. Quote, no one is as much a fool and hypocrite as you, Darbāridās. I presume you wish for the Guru Khalsa to bow to you. You call yourself a saint and do not protest your followers giving you such a title, yet you lecture us on ego. We do not desire others to bow at our feet. We instead instill the same sense of sovereignty and self-autonomy Guru Gobind Singh bestowed upon us. The Khalsa is the Guru and the Guru is the Khalsa. This was the directive and gift of the great Guru Gobind Singh. No one claims to be Guru as an individual. Each Singh is a part of that whole, which we call the Guru Khalsa. The wave is not the ocean, like a blade of grass is not the field. Yet, coming together, as a whole, we are the Guru Khalsa. Sikhi was an evolution, an over 200-year project to raise the consciousness of a population of peasants into kings and warriors. Like our father before us, we are the sons of Kshatriya, not Brahmins who may perform severe austerities like you. We stem from the lineage of Lava and Kush. The blood of Ramchandra flows in our veins so that we too may fulfill our dharma of contesting tyranny. Whilst you engage in your prayers for protection, we engage in training to provide it. The Guru saw the cowardice and escapism of sadhus and guided them back into society to become beacons for others. They broke the petty arrogance of the common man, but as the people became too humble and meek, they were unable to stand up to tyranny. So the Gurus embedded a warrior spirit in them, so that they become the thorns to protect the rose flower. They swapped the Seli Topi for a royal turban, and abandoned Jaram Pahol for Khande de Pahol. Whilst true, the power of such an Amrit gives motivation to the sparrow to take on the hawk, we remember that our mother, Mata Sehdewa, also placed sweet patasse in the holy nectar to moderate our aggression. We may fight on the basis of Dharam, but we also know that Dharam is the son of Deya. Do not be confused though, the Khalsa is still a warrior tradition, not an ascetic one. Darbāridās, you have misunderstood Sikhi as merely a spiritual path and rejected that it also has a temporal emphasis. The Khalsa is the culmination of these two. It takes the nature of their father's grandfather, Guru Har Gobind Sahib, whom even Bhai Gurdas Ji had noted his distinctness about in his Avara. The earlier Gurus cultivated the contentment you Darbāridās preach, but Guru Har Gobind would rear dogs and go hunting. You Darbāridās have travelled the Guru's path only halfway, whilst the Guru Khalsa is what exists further along. The Khalsa is elevated to the status of Guru because it fulfills both the Miri and Piri nature of the previous incarnations of the Guru. To even view the Gurus as separate is a mistake. It is the same Jyot present from Guru Nanak to now Guru Granth and Guru Khalsa Panth. That Jyot is diffused amongst each Khalsa Panthi as the Creator is diffused amongst its creation. Darbāridās, no one is as big a fool as you, who has declared himself a saint but is too blind to see the truth. We the Khalsa reject you fake saints, who have hijacked Sikhi and regressed it backwards against the Guru's development. You claim to be Nanak Panthi, following the path of the great Nanak, but fail to comprehend his grand strategy. You reject his Jyoti Jyot and discard the teachings you do not like. particularly the command and grace of Guru Gobind to give the Khalsa his own status. In this way, Gobind Panthis became Khalsa Panthis, including Guru Gobind Singh themselves. You false Sants have been jealous since that for Sakhi. The Masands were destroyed and in their place came the Khalsa, and we contest any attempts at installing such a hierarchy again. Guru Gobind Singh has raised us to the level of kings, yet you prefer to pull us back down to humble paupers sitting at your feet. You wear your white robes and sit in meditation with your eyes closed, but only those who are absorbed in true love find Prabh. We, the Khalsa, through our love and devotion, have heeded the full vision of the avatars of Prabh's wisdom. Tell me, Darbaridas, where did the label saint come from? Before the 20th century, no one claimed such a title. A saint was a description of a set of characteristics, not merely a title to be claimed or given by gullible sheep. You lecture the Khalsa on hubris, but a true sant looks inwards and recognizes their own nature before making claims about others. True saints are those present in the collective Sad Sangat, who sit equal to offer guidance to spiritual seekers. True saints are those who do not make a show of their piety by wearing white robes, sitting elevated only to murmur that which is obvious to all those who seek the Guru's guidance directly. You so-called saints are the useful idiots of the colonists. You filled an ideological vacuum left behind after they decimated the Khalsa from the Punjab. In our absence, you have loyally pacified the Panth and made Sikhs docile. You have applied water to dampen the flame of rebellion, but it was not enough to extinguish that fire burning in the heart of the Khalsa to destroy tyrants and pursue Raj. We may be crippled, but we are not broken, and we will break before bowing to Nindiks like you. The sovereign Guru Khalsa do not bow to anyone. We break before we bend, and we do not break easily. Darbāridās, on your sattvic diet, you will break yourself attempting to break us. We Khalsa eat venison and boar, we drink milk of the buffalo and consume eggs, whilst you fear even ginger and garlic in your simple lentils. You are what you eat. We eat like kings to become kings, whilst you eat like deer and then are surprised when you are hunted like them. If you self-proclaimed saints have the spiritual powers you claim to possess, then why do you not use them to aid humanity in practical ways? If you are already in the business of convincing Sikhs to follow the so-called right path that you prescribe, then why do you not use those powers to expose the fake saints leading so many astray? A real Sikh saint would recognize the Guru in both forms, Granth and Khalsa Panth, and thus seek to serve that Guru. Where are you Antarjambi saints who can read minds, travel vast distances and multiply yourselves? Do you not think such powers would be useful for the Guru Khalsa to possess in our crusade against tyranny? Darbāridās, if you do not seek to aid the Guru Khalsa, just stick to your rosary and seal thy mouth closed. I, Ranjit Singh Khalsa Panthi, curse those self-proclaimed saints who stand in opposition to the Khalsa. Your magic spells fall at the feet of the Khalsa and hold no power over the combined kirpa of all the manifestations of the Guru. Just as Madhur Das's spirits ran in fear from Guru Gobind Singh, so too will Shahid Singhs destroy any curses levied by you. Do not confuse Anak for Akkar. Darbāridās, stick to your rosary, and we, the Khalsa, will stick to our firearms. Whilst you count your prayer beads to repeat the name of God, we will repeat Naam through counting the ammunition we load into our magazines. When tyrants rear their heads against you, let's see how you white-road vegetarians will fare against them. Yet, we, the Khalsa, are warriors on the basis of Daya and Dharam. You speak ill against us, but we will still defend your right to pursue spiritual liberation. But Sikhi is the pursuit of spiritual and political liberty. You are a bird with only one wing, complaining about falcons who soar the skies in all four directions. Darbāridās, if you claim to be a Sikh of the Guru, then recognize the Guru Khalsa and support it like how chaplains serve in modern armed forces. Provide spiritual guidance if this is your vocation, but do not dampen the spirit of the Khalsa and cause them to abandon their desire for Khalsa Raj and Dharm Yudh. No Sant Baba has ever established Raj. It is only those who have the appetite for Raj who achieve it. Such an appetite requires a level of engagement in duality that goes against your surface-level nature. Moderate, but do not eliminate Biras and replace it with just Shantras. Look to the example of Mahant Kripadas, a saint who recognized what was required for Raajniti and Raajniti. Think twice before cursing the Khalsa, since the Khalsa's curse has toppled empires. And that's the end of my rebuke. So, saying all that, now it's the moderated position part. The fault isn't not with Baba Darbāridās, like I've been harsh with them, of course. But the real fault is also with us, the Khalsa of today. So if we want the respect of the Guru Khalsa, then quite simply we must act like it and produce the results. It's all good repeating it over and over, but each and every one of us Singhs and cause must be asking ourselves, what did I do today to advance the cause of Khalsa Raj? This does not have to be through just hard power means anymore. The battlefield has changed. The time has moved on from horseback and muskets. Modern warfare is not also just about firearms either. Soft power now plays a vital role in securing these sorts of victories that we seek. Our goal is to create environments for those seeking spiritual liberty who can do so in peace, free from tyranny and oppression, which is what Bunga Azadi's sort of like working definition is for Khalsa Raj. The Khalsa's duty, therefore, is to provide security, defense, and justice to these communities. The way to do this does not have to be through the same methods we've applied before. During the human Guru times, standing armies were the norm. Then the Guru Khalsa evolved and adapted to guerrilla techniques. But now the toolset of a warrior has evolved again. And so don't just look at things from an input perspective. We know what the outcomes we seek are, Khalsa Raj. So the question is, how best do we achieve that? Now, Neo-Khalistani fools think it's through trying a guerrilla war again. But when they were asked what has changed in terms of the Bandh's willing manpower, military capability and leadership skills since the previous attempt to ensure success this time, they had nothing to say. So if anything, we regressed in these things. So to blindly repeat a method that was not successful enough to achieve Raj already is the height of foolishness. It's the definition of madness, trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, right? So instead, we must ask, what forces bring about change today? What actions, what methodologies, what mindsets? What can we do, realistically, given our resources, skills, and current situation? I believe if we want to truly honour the sacrifices of the Shaheeds, who gave us today time and space in which to manoeuvre strategically and intelligently, a key part of what we must do today should be to leverage the opportunities we have available to us. One way to do this is through entrepreneurship. Power today is not just with countries, but corporations. So now is perhaps the time to learn how to make money by solving relevant problems for the common man, which in turn helps us build a reputation of problem solvers, not creators, and gives us capital so we can deploy those funds in effective ways to create the outcomes we are seeking. There are two industries in particular I believe Sikhs should work towards becoming market leaders in. The first one is community building, developing special economic zones, SEZs, rejuvenating existing cities and districts, building states within states, and off-grid intentional communities. All these basically form the stans of the Azadism's Stanistan network, which you can read more about in our Vijay repository at bungaazadi.com. And the second industry is community protection. So providing security, defense, and justice to communities so that they can build and prosper in safe, secure, and stable environments. So MissileNet is a project we're working on at the moment that will hopefully be a launch pad for this. And this is also where things like the Dharm Yudh pipeline comes into effect, as well as a upcoming strategy document which I'll release regarding missilization, which brings all this together in a full coherent plan. So stay tuned, follow the Bunga to keep up to date regarding these things as well. The Bandh is not short on wealth, but it is short on consolidating that wealth and subsequently coordinating it. We also have a plan that we are progressing and making steps towards for creating an institution that handles the latter two elements of that. But if you like a sneak peek, early access view of that, then consider becoming a patron of the Bunga through a paid Substack subscription. The funds will go towards directly supporting it, and we'll send you a document outlining a portion of that vision. But in the meantime, if you'd like to participate in the wealth creation aspects of the Bandh, then seek routes into entrepreneurship. To help facilitate this, Bunga Azadi is thinking of setting up a Sikh Founders Club as a kind of entrepreneurs network. We'll explain more this in upcoming posts, but if you are interested, you can register your interest and let us know if this is something you guys want by joining the waitlist. Again, we'll hype that up a bit more in time when we're a bit more ready, but if you are interested, reach out. We have to stop looking at just the aesthetics. Whilst important, it's only ever going to be secondary to our results. What use is to maintain the outward appearance if we are not going to actually produce the outcomes? Today, it is the scientists and entrepreneurs who are changing the world and those who fund them. But we have to reject dogmas and attitudes holding us back that keep us docile, subservient, and overly content. There needs to be a bit of restlessness for Raj, not too much of it that it consumes you, hence the point of Namabhyas, to form an anchor. But whilst we are operating within duality, we must play the game well if we expect to win. You can't win if there's no desire to win. If modern Sants supposedly have the mental fortitude and magic powers people claim that they have, why are they hiding from society? Because they are not engaged in the full project of Sikhi. They have metaphorically regressed back into the forests and mountains and take others with them to hide too. Sikhi was about placing them in palaces and forts. This is the Khalsa's duty. If we do not recognize our own status, mission and purpose, then why will others? We can argue and rebuke Santmat narratives and promote Khalsamat as the full version of Gurmat, but the best way to persuade is that we, the Khalsa, have to be the example, just like the human gurus were during their times. Also, I do know I've written the above rebuke as if I'm speaking directly to Darbaridas, as if he was alive, It simply just sounded better that way. I wanted to write in this style for a change as well, but I do want to make it very clear as a disclaimer. I'm not trying to speak on behalf of the whole Khalsa. This is purely my opinion, my positions, etc. And I say it in such a way, basically as a prop to communicate these points I'm making now. Also, if the Darbāridās was truly a Baba with spiritual powers, perhaps he can appear to me in a vision or a dream, and then I would tell him the same things to his face. I also recognize the reason why the Darbāridās must have said this is that the Khalsa probably did get arrogant. This is not the first historical account I've come across that's seen basically people complaining about the Khalsa's attitude and behaviors. But the reason why I've decided to counter the narrative in an extreme way is because I'm not stuck in the past. I'm looking around and observing the nature of Sikhs today. It is skewed far too much to the docile, passive, overly reliant on Sant Baba nature, and to now correct for it, we must try and swing the pendulum the other way. We may overcorrect and will receive the complaints, and then in time that will balance out too, so long as both perspectives are present and contesting each other. Most people by default go to the middle ground on things, and so this is why such a strategy is being employed. The balanced position is what I allude to in the Rebuke itself. The Khalsa must be a balance of both saintly and warrior natures, but too many today are skewed too far towards the saintly, and it's costing us Raj. Some people are going to be offended and obsessed with the language and the harshness of the Rebuke, but really I couldn't care less. The world needs Khalsa Raj now more than ever, and the more we delay because we are too blind to recognize our status and our mission, the longer preventable suffering goes uncontested. The Bant needs a bit of shock therapy, otherwise it will stay asleep, simply dreaming and never actualizing. So one thing to say in the Rebuke, one line is, do not be confused though, the Khalsa is still a warrior tradition, not an ascetic one. But neither is it a purely aesthetic tradition either. However, this is largely what it's been relegated to these days. Truly, if you don't want to receive such complaints from others, we need to first live up to our status. The Darbāridās is not wholly in the wrong here. If the Khalsa does not act like the Khalsa, what do we expect? Whilst we should contest these narratives, hence why I did it, we also need to understand that the presence of them is symbolic of our own failures. If we were what we have been designed to be, we wouldn't receive such complaints. And that's all I wanted to say in this. Like, feel free to let me know your comments, your suggestions, your disagreements, I suppose, which I'm assuming I'll get some. But do try and understand what I'm trying to do here. I don't have anything personal against this Darbāridās character. I don't really know much about them, which obviously is a big blindside me now, obviously speaking in this way against him, not knowing his other contributions. So I'll happily, more than happy to basically walk back on my harshness on this. But the harshness I'm using in this, the language of the approach I've taken, again, it's just a prop. I'm using the Darbāridās as a prop to convey these points. So I do encourage you, if you feel offended by the way I've been harsh about the Darbāridās, don't get too hung up in it. I'm not going to die on this hill either. Like it's just a prop, right? I'm using him to serve an example. And you also got to realize he's cast the first stone, right? If he's going to write about the Khalsa, the Guru Khalsa, then as a member of the Guru Khalsa, I have a very right to feel offended and speak back in this way. You got to remember, we are a culture that have been designed in a very particular way. If someone casts a stone, you throw a brick back kind of thing. And if they throw a boulder back, you throw a whole mountain back at them, right? That's the kind of measured escalation here. I know the Darbāridās is dead, so he's not really going to respond to this unless he does come in that dream, and then we can have a good chit chat then. But otherwise, please understand the point I'm making here. Don't get too distracted by the aesthetics of how I've portrayed the point, which is symbolic of what this Khalsa Panth is like today. I do understand why the Darbāridās has said what he has said and all that kind of stuff. I get it. But I don't think it's a narrative that's pertinent for this time, given the scale in which Sikhs have forgotten that the Khalsa is the Guru. And then, as an extension of that, they don't even realize that the Khalsa's mission is to forward the cause of Khalsa Raj. People don't even know what Khalsa Raj is. So these are deep systemic issues where the fundamentals, the pillars of Sikhi are not being understood by the Sikhs. So such narratives that the Darbāridās is pushing here, these aren't appropriate for the time that we're in. We need the opposite narratives to reinvigorate the Sikh spirit. And only then will we start seeing tangible progress when it comes to Raajniti and statecraft. And that's what Bunga Azadi is about. Reviving or doing our part to revive a Sikh intelligentsia that goes on to inspire the next generation of Sikh statecrafters so that they can engage in empire projects and nation building and citycraft and all this kind of stuff. That's what our mission here is, hence why I'm contesting it. So I hope you understand that. Let me know your views. Hopefully you like this podcast format. It wasn't a video. But again, thank you for listening. Waheguru Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.